What's going on, everybody? We back again. Another Can We Keep It Real podcast. Man, I tried to get Coach McCormack to come on ever since they've won the bowl championship game. But everybody, especially everybody in this area, knows Coach McCormack. Busy guy. A lot of people credit Coach McCormack says there's probably not another recruiter in this area that works that hard. And I met a guy today from I think it was from down in Carolinas, and I mentioned Ryan McCormack, and he said, "Oh yeah, he knew exactly who Coach McCormack was." So no matter where you are, we're running into people that know Coach Ryan McCormack. But I want to thank the people that helped make this possible, man. Big shout out to Mark Wright, Banker, Coastal Homes. If you're looking to buy a house, definitely give Mark a call at 401-787-5203. Mark will definitely hook you up. Nice guy. We try to support people that support youth sports. And Coach McCormack, how are we doing today?
Good evening, Mike. How you doing?
All right. I love the office. You was just getting it done the last time we had spoken. I see you got the jerseys up there. How's the new digs? Are they all done?
Yeah, they're done. That was a long process. Our contractor started in March, and they didn't finish till almost July. So I was getting a little nervous because I was knee deep in I call it camp recruiting season, where May, June, and July is like heavy camp mode, and so I'm getting text messages from home from my wife about the contractors, and it was interesting summer. Let's say because they were supposed to be done in 2 months, and 2 months turned into you know a quarter of a year. So,
And you're
but
busy. You're a very busy guy, so I can only imagine. It was easy to for it to take so long. You're doing your own thing. Things are going on.
yeah, no, yeah, definitely was a added curveball I wasn't planning because we hired him back in the end of February, going into March. He quoted 8 weeks, and I kind of was like optimistic that would actually occur. But then I was like, "Are you sure?" And he's like, "Oh yeah." So well, it's got to be done by May. And May came and went, and June came and went, and part of July came and went, and finally I was like, "Listen, this has got to get done because I'm going to be heading into our own preseason soon enough." So
Yeah, you
let's get
have
it done.
so much going on between everything you do, the recruiting. You came out of a very your COVID year. You guys didn't play coming into a new season. What a year you guys had. Yeah. Steven goes down week one, and you have the kid from Cumberland, Dante, step up. And did you guys know Dante was going to be as special as he is when you recruited him?
Well, we recruited Dante. We thought he could play quarterback, but we also knew he was so physically talented that if it hadn't worked out at quarterback, he could have definitely played somewhere else and started. So it wasn't that we didn't have faith in him as quarterback. It was like we recruited him because he was such an unbelievable athlete that he was so multifaceted, both running and throwing, which was very intriguing to us. And then when he got here, he worked really hard to hone his quarterback skills, and he developed very quickly, which was really impressive. So, when Steven went down the Hudson game, obviously you're losing, a guy that holds all the records at UMass Dartmouth in the history of the program, a guy that was getting looks from the National Football League, a guy that was our leader, our GoDaddy, so to speak, and then he goes down. You know, if you had said to me that the year would have gone the way it went, I would look back and said no way, because it's really hard for any freshman, I don't care how talented you are, to do what Dante did, and he did it with such it was crazy to go back and watch film and go, this is a freshman doing what he's doing. And he was making junior and senior level throws week one against a very good Hudson team at their place in a hostile environment. And he really, lit the world on fire that game, because I think they were stunned. I think they were all excited when they knocked Steven out of the game. They really thought that we had no shot against them. And then in comes Dante like Luke Skywalker, and he's like, okay, and just gets it done at a very high level. And, that was really like a sigh of relief. But we were worried about the next game. I'll tell you why. Like, a lot of quarterbacks can go into a game and have a good game because they don't have to think about it. They just go and play and do. And then now he has a whole week going into an opponent that arguably week one, Dean had really beaten up framing Fitchburg State. Week one, scored a ton of points. Their wide receiver scored 6 touchdowns that game. And so we're like, now we have to ask Dante to go into a game as a freshman against a opponent that was undefeated week 2 and beat a team that put up ungodly points week 1. And that week, he just literally lit it up. I mean, he was on fire. He threw for 4 touchdowns. I think he ran for 2. I'd have to go look back at the exact stats. But we thought after that game he'd get the Golden Helmet Award after that game. And they gave it to somebody else. I think in D2 they had a good game because the Golden Helmet is an award that all the New England sport writers give every week. They give one to the best Division I player in the Northeast region, and they give the second one to the best Division II/Division III best player that week. And they only give them up for, I think it's like 10 weeks straight. And so we thought he would actually get it for the second because he put up such amazing numbers. And he didn't, which we were shocked as a staff. But I get it. Like, the different – I don't know if they wanted to give it to a D3 kid week 2 again. And then he had some growing pains minorly in the Framingham game and the Westcon game. But it literally from the Westcon game forward, he put the pedal to the metal, Mike. And it was like he won this 6-game epic run where he just got better and better every week. He got better and better every quarter. And it was impressive. So as a program, we're really excited to see what he does now evolving forward because he had a season that some seniors dream of, and he's a freshman. So, on the field. So he's only going to get a lot better. And if you saw his day-to-day work ethic right now, you'd be as excited as I am, as all our players are, because I think the product we put on the field in 2022 is going to be one of the best products potentially in school history. So we're excited about it.
Well, so I mean, this last season was actually a record breaker for your school, going 9-2. I think Dante passed a record that held since 1998. Jay Furtado, and he beat Jay Furtado by 5 touchdowns. And Steven has a great work ethic, so it only gets better from here.
Yeah, I mean, the nice thing is Steven was such a good leader. He got hurt. He knew it was a pretty severe injury with his knee and his elbow, actually, in the same play. He comes out. He has to put a brace on. And literally within like 10 plays later, Steven's on the sideline with a brace on, mentally helping Dante get right to be highly productive. It was almost like having a player coach with Steven. So and Steven was great helping out as a student coach at that point because he was injured with the quarterback's room, with the quarterback coach, which was also OC. And that was a big help, too, because Steven brings such a mental piece to the game. It was almost like he was mentoring Dante to, take the reins and then go with it. So, and Dante just did a great job just taking the information and really making it part of his deal. And from the Westfield game on, the fourth quarter of that game was when he started really utilizing his feet to extend plays, almost like a Patrick Mahomes where, he'd avoid the rush, reset, avoid a defender, and then get the ball out on rhythm and make some big vertical throws and also make some big runs to extend the chains. And he got better every week. And the Alfred State game, the bowl game, he really put on a show. I mean, that was like, wow.
Yeah, what a game that was. I mean, he comes out the gate 2-0. That second game, 48-29. What a great game. And then Framingham State comes along, a little hiccup.
Mm-hmm.
And then you guys move on to Worcester State, another big game. You guys win that 52-7. Then another loss with Weston, Connecticut. Are you nervous at that point after the October 2nd game?
No, I'll tell you why. In the game we lost our left tackle for the year with an injury, Deshario, with his leg, and that was a big loss because he's a really good player. And in the same quarter, we lose our right guard, who was an all-conference player the year before, to an injury. So both of them are out for that game, the rest of that game. And then we had another lineman get dinged up, had to come out. So we lost 3 starting linemen all in the first quarter. Before those guys go down, we're up 14-0. So, if you say to anyone, hey, you're going to lose 3 of your starting offensive linemen, how do you think you're fair? I would say probably not too good with a young quarterback that's still kind of developing and growing and evolving. So, part of it was some mistakes from Dante, some issues with personnel, not having all the horses up front, which is never good. And Westcon was a good team. It was their homecoming night. So we're in a buzzsaw situation with a lot of injuries. And we didn't play well out of the gate either. We scored 2 touchdowns first 2 drives. We kind of got comfortable for a short span, and then the injuries happened. The nice thing is, as a staff, after that game, we got home late that night because it's a far ride. We literally didn't sleep. So we went in like major like lock-in mode. And like no one even like complained about it on our staff. We just were like, we gotta fix this like yesterday. And we did a lot of deep dive self-evaluation, a lot of deep dive evaluation of the exponent, things we could do to help Dante continue to like be locked in and do what he needed to do. And he did. He was amazing. So he just cranked. He just embraced, okay, I gotta work on little things myself. And he became a great leader as a young kid. And the younger offensive line really stepped up because guys were out. And that point forward, we started really locking as a team. Like our guys, I said, listen, we can win the rest of these games. We just got to, here's the check the boxes we have to do as a team, as coaching staff, as, all the way around the horn. So, and everybody was just like, we knew we could get to the bowl game. So we just went on this epic run. And every week we got better and better. You can see with our scores, we got better and better and better.
Yeah, you played Mass Maritime 26-10. That was an October 9th game. And I remember that game. Felix is sending me box scores left and right. Thank God for Felix going to all them games. Speaking of Felix, he actually commented a couple of things. That's 20 guys on the Mascot All-American team, including Shine. That's how I knew it was Felix. And he also said that you was the hardest working guy in football, which is no surprise. We hear that all the time about you, Ryan. When I started this last year, I used to tell people, it was tough to get through an episode without somebody bringing you up, But let's get back to this. Then you played Westfield State. You won that by 10, 26-16. Then Pittsburgh, what a big game that was, 40-0.
So,
what a ride.
The Westfield game was really the pivotal point. So we go on the road to Westfield. We didn't play well in the first half. We basically didn't get off I would clearly say we were like asleep in the first half as a team collaboratively. And at halftime, our coordinators, our OC and our DC Steve Faneuil, our offensive coordinator, Josh Sylvester, really did an unbelievable job. It was amazing to get the kids to like, let's wake up the sleeping giant. And it took a little point of the third quarter to kind of get going. And the fourth quarter re-erupted, Mike. If you go look on the stats, the fourth quarter, we put up unbelievable points, stats. Our kids.
Yeah, I see. Westfield put up 14 in the second, and that kind of must have had you a little bit nervous. At that point, you guys had 6 points, and then in the fourth quarter, like you said, you erupted, putting 20 on the board to make it 26-16 final. But you had to be nervous going into that third.
Yeah, we were definitely nervous because we weren't playing well. We weren't really coaching great as a staff. We were kind of like asleep. And so at halftime, the two coordinators, our OC and DC, and even our special teams coordinator, Ryan Struthers, they really evolved the game plan. They woke the kids up. They said, we have to start playing football. We need to do blah, blah, blah. Our head coach did a great job, like really kind of collaboratively getting both sides of the ball together and say, listen, we played the worst half of football asleep for a half. It's time to wake up. In the third quarter, we started getting our stride. In the fourth quarter, when it's like you flicked a switch and it was like the volcano erupted. Because our guys like literally just rose the bar to such a high level to their true potential. And it was like, yeah, no more points for you. And we're scoring points every single time we touch the ball. And that's really kind of what happened. And it was like you flicked a switch and the game was over. And if we played the fourth quarter, if we played the game every quarter like the fourth quarter, we would score 80 points guaranteed. So at that point, going home, it was a road game. We got back home and realized, hey, if we can play this like this for one quarter, we can play this like this for every quarter. So we started to like really deep dive, like why the first half happened like that? Why the third quarter kind of need to like get going to get the fourth quarter really play like that in the fourth quarter. So, we started to play like that going forward every game. If you look at the scores, consistently, we started to score a lot of points every game, not give up a lot of points every game. So the Fitchburg game was a very lopsided game.
It
Our
was a
kids,
game of the number 8. You had 8 points in the first, 18 in the second, 8 in the third, and then 6 in the fourth quarter on a score of 40 to nothing. What does it say? You have a 9-4 record
9-2.
over there. Oh, 9-2. Okay. No, I meant versus Pittsburgh.
Oh, overall, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Oops. Let me get back to that. Yeah. So that was a very good game against Pittsburgh State. Let me get back in here. I'm sorry about that. That was a very good game against Pittsburgh State. You need an EWG shirt on your jersey wall. I wonder who that is. You
I'll take
know,
take a couple guesses.
there we go. Shout out Coach Fulton. I kind of heard rumors that he's already favored to get back to the Super Bowl by what Eric Rube said. But I'm sure that's a long time from now. But yeah, you definitely had a great season. You have some great kids this season. 25 kids overall from Rhode Island, correct?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right, let's get back up onto this schedule. 1 second. So yeah, and then Bridgewater, tough team this season. Pretty close game, 26-20. You come out ahead of that game, and I had that game circled on my calendar, because I had kids on both sides of the ball that were playing there. But that was also could have been a problem for you guys.
So we hadn't beaten them since 2014. They were kind of like the monkey on our back, so to speak. We had a bunch of close games against them over the years, a couple of lopsided games we lost. They're a good coaching staff and a good program. So they do a good job preparing their kids, and they do a good job running their program. And it's funny, our staffs are pretty close friends, off the field. And so like, we just have a really common respect for them and they have for us. So we know anytime we play Bridgewater, they're not going to be easy. Bridgewater's never easy. They're a very physical team, a very disciplined team. And we knew we had to play lights out good up there to beat them. And we did. We had a good game plan against them. We came out swinging. We were going to respect them, but we weren't going to be scared of them because they're very good and they're physical. And that was a very back and forth game. If you were a fan, it's a great game to watch because it was just back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. It was really an impressive game. We could have easily lost that game. We played really well against them. But that was the game where we really got our confidence because beating them was a big, check the box. I mean, we know that anytime we play them or Framingham or Westcon, they're all tough teams. And all the teams in the league are pretty tough. I mean, it's not just them, but they're always the top 3 team in the league. And it's really hard to beat them at their place. So to go up to Bridgewater and beat them at their place was a big deal because they're good. And we know that next year they'll be tough when they come to us. So, it was one of those games where, a lot of hugging and handshakes with their staff. They have a good staff, and a lot of common respect. So, yeah, I mean, every year is going to be a circle game because we know it could go down to the wire with them. You never see a sub 500 Bridgewater team. It's rare. I think they've had it once in 20 years if I looked up their records, but they're always competitive. So, I mean, it was a big confidence builder for us to beat them at their place late in the year when they're at their best. And that was huge. It was a good confidence game for Dante, a good confidence game for all the young kids. Our 2 running backs that are kind of a core of our backfield, which is Luis Gonzalez from Florida and Marvin's Gene from Massachusetts. Those 2 guys played lights out good. They were just like, I call them the Bash brothers. Those 2 kids are like thunder and lightning. They played unbelievable against Bridgewater. They were the 2-headed monster against them that just Bridgewater really never had a true answer for, which complemented Dante and what he was doing in the run and pass game as well. Those 2 guys they're really impressive running backs.
I mean, Dante finishes with I think it was like 318 yards passing, if I'm not mistaken, on 303 yards rushing. Your offense finished with 621 total offense yards. Is that on the season?
We had 621 in the bowl game against.
Oh, all right. Yeah, that was in the bowl game. I'm sorry. Um, so your senior day, pretty exciting day up there. Dartmouth, you play Plymouth State comes to visit you guys. That was the November 13th on a Saturday game. You win that one 28-7. Was you in the bowl at that point, or did you have to beat
No.
Plymouth State?
So if we had lost that game, there was a possibility either Plymouth or Bridgewater got in the bowl bid. So that was a must win. Plymouth is very unique in how they play football in the sense that their offense, we like to go tempo and move the ball quickly and be explosive and run a lot of plays. They like to methodically pound the ball at you, hold on the ball, play, clock time, and play. I call it like very strategic, violent keep away, which limits the number of times their defense has to be on the field. And it works for them. It's their philosophy, and it definitely works. It's an old Bill Parcells type of philosophy. Control the ball, move the ball methodically, move the chains, and play sound defense, and don't give up explosives. So we knew we had to beat them at their game, so to speak. So we went a hair slower. We did go tempo, but we had, multiple high-end number of play drives, 12 play drives, 15 play drives. And it really kind of took the air out of their sails because now they couldn't just play keep away. They had to try to keep up with the points, and they couldn't. They're another physical team. Senior day always scares me because it's a great day for the parents for our kids because it's senior day. But it's very hard to go from a mentality where like you go through your team stretch, you go through your pregame stuff, and then before kickoff, it's flowers, hugs, and announcements and accolades, and I call it like almost like a baby shower in a sense. It's probably a bad analogy, but it's hard to go from a high to a low mentally to back to like trying to go win a prize fight. It's really hard to do that. So mentally for kids, and so, but you have to have senior day for the parents and the families, and I understand that. So senior day has always been a game that really gets me scared. It's a trap game. So from a mental standpoint, but we played really well. We knew it was on the line. We wanted to send our seniors away with a win. We want to send our seniors away with an opportunity to play in a bowl game. We knew after that game, we won that game a couple hours later that we would host a bowl game, which was ultra exciting. We haven't hosted a bowl game here in eons. We haven't been in a bowl game since the early 2000s, so that was really exciting.
2003, I believe. This was your second, right?
Second,
Since the team started, the first one was in 2003. And you matched a lot of their stats. So, but Plymouth State now, you guys, I think 11 wins, 11 losses. So you guys are kind of evenly matched up. But when they're down 20-0 coming out of halftime, are they still going at a snail's pace?
It became a very defensive game. They moved the ball a little bit differently in the second half. I mean, we really limited their yardage in the first half. I think they had something crazy, like only like 15 yards. I'd have to go back and look, but they didn't have a lot of yards. So the second half, we really became a fist fight game because they were in panic mode to try to score points. We were just trying to take the ball with them as much as possible and control the ball. So they did a good job slowing our offense down. But we also did a good job not letting them do a whole heck of a lot. I think they only had that one drive where they scored, but the rest of the game we pretty much had in control from a controlling the ball standpoint. So, I mean, they're physical. They're definitely a good team. So, and we knew that they wouldn't be easy, and they weren't. There's really no easy game, so to speak, in this conference. Even some of the bigger scores like Fitchburg or Worcester, they're still good teams, and you got to play your A game to score any points against them, much less the points we scored. So, but yeah, I mean, we were definitely not overconfident playing Plymouth. We weren't scared of them, and we respected them, but we knew we had to play really well to win that game. It was a huge game. So yeah, so after the game, we found out that evening that we were hosting the bowl game. We just didn't know who the opponent was yet. We're waiting for the other three conferences to vote on it and let us know who the 2 seed was in the bowl game. So it was kind of like the hurry up and wait because, we're excited. We won the Plymouth game. but a short turnaround because the next Saturday we're playing home against somebody. And so we didn't find out officially to the next day who that was. It was late in the day when they announced it. So at that point, we had to get get film, do film exchange with them, and start breaking down the film. Traditionally, when our game ends on the Saturday in season, we have the next opponent's films by roughly early the next morning, if not that the night before that Sunday. So we've already started tagging the film and preparing the film for breakdown. So we didn't even get the films from Alfred State till that evening, till Sunday night late. So we had a really short time frame to get stuff done.
Pretty big team you have here. We talked last time you was on 25 Rhode Island kids. I think for the last couple of years, I don't know if there is a NCAA school that has that many kids from any state. UMass Dartmouth must hold the record for having the most kids out of a single state.
Yeah, I mean, we've had the most Rhode Island kids on our roster since probably 2016. I have to go back and look at each roster and count it up, but I know as of 2016, we definitely did. Um, we we definitely had a lot of Rhode Island kids from that point forward, and that's been a big piece of our success is having a lot of good, really good Rhode Island kids. And obviously we have a lot of good Connecticut kids and a lot of good Mass kids, and we have a running back from Florida who's an absolute stud. We have a wideout from Louisiana, Easton Coleman, who's going to be an absolute superstar here.
Is that Luis Gonzalez, the kid from Florida? Green
Yes,
Acres. Okay, yeah, very, very. That kid is like so cut. I think I seen a couple pictures of him. Pretty tough kid.
yeah, him and Marvin's number 9. The two of them are just they're a nightmare for teams to stop. I mean, when they carry the ball, they're both big guys. I mean, Lewis is 6'1", 225 ish. He fluctuates between 225 and 230, and he's just like a steamroller. But he's fast, he's strong. And then Marvin's is similar in build. They're both like Batman and Robin. Those two guys, man. The way they run the ball, they just beat up the defenders and they just explode and run by them like they're standing still.
And
They're
the
just
Delgado kid, he's not from Rhode Island. I think he's from Lynn, Mass. But he's becoming a pretty exceptional player too, huh? I think
yeah.
he's a linebacker, senior.
Davian's really athletic. He comes back for his 5th year next year.
Didn't he get
We don't,
MVP last year during the Alfred State game?
he did not. It was number 8, DJ Machado,
Oh,
Douglas
DJ
Machado.
Machado. Okay, I'm sorry.
He is a senior. He's out of eligibility now. So DJ is graduating this spring, and he's done. We're gonna miss him. He's a really good player. He was the MVP of the bowl game. He had some great plays, boy, in that game.
So you get back to back Rhode Island brothers out of Tiverton, Steven, and then you got Matt Gaychuk coming out of his he had his freshman season, right? They still have him down here as a freshman. How is he developing?
He during the COVID year, he didn't throw as much as he probably should, but he started to really get better at the end of the year this past season. So he's kind of like a work in progress, but he was able to do some things for us in like a wildcat type look at quarterback at times, and he was also our punter and kicked some bombs of punts. So he he definitely did a good job during the year. I mean, he was definitely a piece of the success puzzle for sure, and he's going to get better. I mean, him and Dante push each other, and they both don't act like freshmen. They act like they're juniors because they're so developed already, and they're so they have great leadership skills and great character. So those two guys do a great job. I mean, Maddie, Dante got dinged up in a game. Maddie had to go in, did a good job for when he went in, and they're really positive with each other, which is good. Like some, in other places in years past, before we had Steven, before we had Dante, before we had Matt, sometimes backup quarterbacks, are a quote unquote threat to the starter. Here, it's a really positive room. So they push each other to be better, which is what you want, So they continue to raise the bar every day at practice and in films and meetings. So, you know, it's tough for him because you can only really kind of start one kid, but he's done a good job really pushing to to get better and be a clear piece of the puzzle. So, I mean, we had packages throughout the year. We'd bring Matt in and pull Dante out, kind of like hybrid packages, and he did a good job with it. So he's going to continue to get better. I mean, if these two guys develop like they should the next 3 years, and that room's going to be really good. I mean, we just signed we can't say his name by NCAA rules till May 1st, but we signed the starting quarterback from Lake Highland Prep down in Florida, and he had gone undefeated, won the state title, 3-star kid, big athletic kid, moves like Dante, can throw like Dante, but is as big as Matt physically and build. So we're excited to have him, he's another type of similar character kid, great student, great kid, worker, is going to push them. We're never going to have like 7-8 quarterbacks in the quarterback room. That's never going to happen here. It's not our deal. You traditionally will probably have 4 to 6 roughly, which is a really good, reasonable number, because we want eventually all of them to be the guy at some point in their career. So, and so for us, it's a good room, and all the rooms are good rooms. I mean, that's why we won the games we won. I mean, you lose 3 starting offensive linemen, you lose your starting quarterback, you would think would be dead in the water, and that didn't happen. We kept rolling forward and kept evolving and fixing things, and the kids rose to the occasion. So,
Yeah, I was very surprised. I'm not even gonna lie. I was very surprised, seeing Dante. When Steven went down, I'm not even gonna say I wasn't. I was like, they're in trouble, and it just wasn't the case. You had plenty of people step up. J.P. Mason, another one, exceptional player, another Mascat player. Joshua Stockwell. You got so many great kids on that team. We could just keep going on and on. JP Mason, tell me a little bit about him.
So here's a cool story. So when JP was a freshman, right, he comes in, and he initially came in as a wide out. And we had a kid, Abby Bambos, who was all world here. He went on to play for the Orlando Predators Arena, was a stud player for us. So JP was behind him on offense. And he was frustrated because he was a great player at Hendricken, all-state player at Hendricken, and never really lost much at Hendricken. And so he comes here, and he was frustrated he wasn't starting. But he worked really hard, and he started on specials. But he was the type of kid that wanted to start now, and I don't blame him, because he is a good player, and he was just behind a stud at that position. During the course of that year, he moves to defense, but unfortunately, he's behind a Division I transfer at the other position, and so he was on the fence of coming back after his freshman year, because he thought people were in his ear saying, "Oh, you should go to Division I," and the kid works like a machine. So, and he's tough as nails. So literally, I said to him, "Listen, it's a marathon, not a sprint. Your career. That's how it happens. Trust me on this. If you continue to work like you're working, you will have high-end success." His sophomore year, he comes back. He starts in defense as a sophomore. Makes, I think if I remember correctly, second team all conference. This year, his junior year, he comes back. Now we had the COVID year in between, which didn't count because no one played in D3. His junior year comes back, lights out good. One of the top tacklers on the team, is first team all conference, wins the bowl game, won player of the week a couple times in defense for the conference, and is now voted captain. If you look at our 4 captains that we have appointed captain for the 2022 season, we have Makai Jeter, defensive lineman from West Haven, Connecticut. This is his second time being a captain. Marcus Alisi, number 77. Marcus, the big defensive lineman as well. He's a 5th-year senior, great player. Now, mind you, all 4 of these guys are unbelievable students too. Andrew Paulus, 3-year starter, been our center since the All-American Mitchens graduated. And so Paulus is he's got a crazy GPA. I have to go look at the exact number, but it's up there. It's close to a 4. And he's like our David Andrews is center. He's just a stud and brilliant kid, a great leader. So we have 3 linemen technically as of our 4 captains. The only skill position captain is JP Mason. So think about that. There's a lot of kids we could have appointed. There was a lot of great, the hardest thing about picking captain this year there's probably 20 kids on this roster that could be a captain right now because they're such great kids. So JP just really, he played injured, he played hurt, and at a very high level. And so I remember I was talking to him after the bowl game. I said, "Well, you glad you didn't leave? Was I right?" And he's like, "You were right, coach." And so I tell all our kids, "Listen, man, we're not going to lie to you. We're going to be very honest with you, very transparent. We can see what your potential is if you put in the work. That's the key of the puzzle." And he put in the work more than anyone. I mean, there's a video somewhere. I have to go dig it up on his social media platforms. He's got his legs on the top of a heavy bag doing sit-ups in midair on a heavy bag with a weight, 45-pound weight. Imagine that.
That's amazing, huh?
And so that just shows you just the level of grind and work ethic this kid has. He's truly a lead from the front kid. He will go out there and play specials. He'll go out there and third down. He'll do whatever it takes to win. And that's why he's a captain. And he's had a great career here. And it's not done yet. I mean, his accolades he's accumulated in the 3 years he's been here is what people would beg for in their career. And he's got another year coming. And he is locked in like I've never seen. So, to have a kid like that to come back to lead our defense as a captain, and he's just like this assassin, man. If you throw the ball, he's hitting you. You're knocking it out. If you run the ball, man, he's filling the alley. So he's just a kid we're excited to have back as a leader of the defense. And I expect monstrous things from him this year, and all four of those guys. So, I mean, they're already getting after it. If you saw, we have an app called GroupMe we use to communicate with the kids, and the kids communicate with each other. It's a great app. And let me tell you, the positivity and the work, both in the classroom and the weight room, is off the charts. These guys they're locked in. So if we can transition that work and energy to the field for 2022, I think you're going to see monster numbers.
Amazing. Just the quality of kid you have over there. JP Mason, all of them. Let's see. We go down the list. We have a Shea kid. Dejuan Hayes. I think he is a junior, right, or a sophomore.
He's a sophomore, so he came in during the COVID year. Was his first year, so he was a sophomore this year. He's a very athletic kid. He was injured part of camp, which limited his stats and production, but he's going to be really good.
Nice. All the kids you have, Shine, very good kid. We'll get down to there. I mentioned him because I seen Felix actually post about him earlier.
Shine runs one of our screens very well. There's a certain screen we run a lot. We like to run, and he runs it top two of all the running backs in the running back room. He just runs that one screen play to perfection. So it's exciting, and we started using him more in specials as the year went on. He's going to be a really good player for us. And he will. I think he'll have a career similar to JP Mason, as far as like right now, like every freshman, like a kid like him who had a great high school career, was very productive and very, very good in high school. They all want to play more and more and get more love, so to speak, early. But his career, if he continues to plug, continues to work, could be very similar in accolades as JP. So, I'll say to every kid that's in that same situation, it's a marathon, not a sprint. Keep grinding, keep plugging. I'm telling you, the rewards will start coming. And then you'll look back and realize, wow, that was really a good career.
He came in weighing a 190. I don't know. I think he might be a little bigger than that.
He was actually a hair lighter than that. He was 190 during the year, roughly. But he's going to work to really be bigger, faster, stronger. I know he will. I know he comes from a good family. They're really supportive and really positive. So, when you have a good family structure at home that continue to foster success, it's really good. So he comes from an athletic family, a hardworking family. I mean, he was one of the 20 kids that got unbelievable grades, made academic all conference, which is, I tell kids, if you can be both all conference and academic all conference, you're hitting all the check the boxes because that's where you want to be. So he'll be on that path for sure.
Shout out to his dad. His dad comes on Thursday nights. We do he does the top 3 plays of the week. We do the predictions. But I love Felix. I like what Felix does. Shine, his brother, sincere. maybe he'll be up at UMass Dartmouth this season as well. I'm kind of pulling for that. That would be great. I like to see the two brothers stay together. But yeah, nice family. I ditto everything you said about Shine and his family. I definitely agree. Tariq De Silver coming out of Central Falls. Central Falls been struggling lately. It's nice to see a kid from Central Falls go there, and he is a junior.
Yeah, so Tariq was out with a medical this year all year, which stunk because he's a great player and a great kid and a really good student. He was on the last Central Falls championship team, and he was a really good player for them. So we're praying he helped out behind the scenes off the field, and he was always, really positive, even though he was out with a medical. So we hope to have him back on the field this fall. So I'm praying that happens because he's a really good player and a great kid, and he's a class act. So I love Tariq. So I love all our kids, but he's just a good kid. He's a kid that does a lot of the right stuff. So I'm hoping he's back on the field for us.
And then you got Will Tuttle, defensive back. His brother's a big advocate down in Providence. Shout out to his brother. And Will is a junior this year coming out of Bishop Hendricken at no surprise. Coach Croft always sending guys to compete.
I call Will the professor. So Will knows every call, every shift, every emotion, every personnel grouping. He can literally come on the field and literally within milliseconds, rattle off what an opponent is doing. He's so smart and he knows everybody's job. He knows his job. He's just he's the professor. So he literally goes out there and it's just he's a technician. So he's a really good player and a really smart kid. He's a nursing major. He's killing it in that discipline, academic discipline. He's a leader on campus. He's in a bunch of different groups on campus for academic related stuff and social stuff. So he comes from a good family.
I'm not surprised he's part of all them groups on campus. I see how dedicated his brother is.
His brother's running for state office, and I think he's going to have a good shot to win. His brother's a really good positive voice here in Rhode Island, and I wish him luck. It's never easy to win an election, but I think he's doing a lot of good things and trying to get some change, some positive change. Not easy, but
vote Tuttle. Vote Tuttle. Shane Meerbout, number 30 on defensive back. Another kid coming out of Cumberland, Rhode Island.
We have a joke on our team. We call Shane Meerbot Island. So we put him a lot of times on their number one receiver. Usually it's in man-to-man coverage on an island. And usually 9.9 times out of 10, those opponents visit Meerbot Island where.
So he is your Darrell Rivas.
Pretty much. So he's a hard person to beat for offenses, and he does a good job. Like our two running backs in offense, he's got his tag team partner, I call it, is Logan Chappelle. So we call it Meerbot Island and the Chappelle Show because those two guys back there, man, that's a problem for offenses. They're both really long and athletic and strong and really smart, both of them. And if you just watch film of them in our films, you'll notice very quickly they make a lot of plays.
So freshmen, stick with them guys. They'll teach you something.
They're pretty good.
And if you're going to go to church, it might be Nate Upchurch out of Tiverton, Rhode Island, wide receiver. Tell me a little bit about Nate.
So Nate had a lot of hamstring pulls. Nate's really fast and really athletic. He was one of the fastest kids in Rhode Island his senior year. He just has his gear. He's just got to work on keeping his hamstring pliable because when you pull that, it's really painful and it limits your mobility. I'll tell you one thing. He's going to be really good. So Nate is also a genius. So Nate's got a 4.0 here, and he's just a really good kid. So he's another kid where, like Shine, I think his better days are ahead of him, and I don't think he realizes how high his potential is, but he's working hard, and he's going to be a really good player for us. So, he's going to get bigger. His dad's a big guy. His parents are great people, really nice people. So, for him, it's just developing and keeping healthy. His ceiling is high. If he could get faster and stay healthy, good Lord, that's a weapon. So we're really excited about what he brings to the table. He's a good football player, a good kid.
And you bring in a linebacker, 210 pounds, Bishop Hendricken. Everyone around here knows Sam Alicia, beast.
Sam plays like he's 240 running a 4.4. He made some hits. We knew he was as good as he was. Initially in spurts of the Huston game, he made some nice plays. But I tell you what, the second game against Dean, the Dean quarterback, I guarantee remembers that number. That number
I
well.
remember that play. Oh my goodness! I was trying to think of what game it was,
It's
and
the Dean game.
yeah, it
So
must have been the Dean
we must have
game.
rolled that back in film about 24 times because not only was the hit violent and fast, it was so like technically sound and explosive, and that was the nail in the coffin where their quarterback did not want to play football anymore.
Fumble, right? And I think Josh was cert
Picked
recovered.
it up, yeah. It was a knockout shot, and Sam is just so fast, and he's got this explosive this step where he just takes all like he just gets downhill so fast, and he just blows the line like they're not even like they're a turnstile. So Sam is he's such an instinctive player. He's kind of like a cross between like a Ray Lewis and like a Ray Lewis and like a Lawrence Taylor.
Oh, he's gonna like that. We're gonna have to cut this out. We're gonna have to get this clip to him. He's gonna like that. I mean, you couldn't be mentioned with two greater guys at the position. Lawrence Taylor, we remember Lawrence Taylor vaguely, playing what phenomenal for the Giants. Ray Lewis, everyone knows what Ray Lewis brings to the
I say Ray Lewis
table.
because his his endless like violence downhill and all, getting to the into the backfield is like a Ray Lewis trait, and then his his confidence is like that, but then his speed, his just explosive speed downhill, reminds me of Lawrence Taylor. Where you just come off the edge like a missile and just connect. It's such velocity, and it's very rare if an offensive player gets away from him. I mean, it is definitely not a good day at the office you get if he gets into the backfield. So for the opponent, so he's just a great player.
And Josh Lasser, everything you thought he was going to be when you recruited him out of Westerly. I remember Josh Lasser at the banquet. He must have took every defensive hardware home. I was like, how are you going to carry all these trophies home? Is he everything that you thought he was going to be?
Yeah, I mean when Josh was a freshman and he got into camp, like because at the time he was like I think it was like 205 pounds, 210 pounds, so it's not very big for a defensive lineman. The first time we went one-on-ones and then front drill, which a lot of like it's like going live against the O-line, his ability to rip into gaps and spin and make plays. Our DC in that we had a meeting after that practice that day. He said, "Good Lord," he goes, "that Lacert kid is like unblockable," and that was like the start of the Lacert story. And he just got better and better and better. And he's just I mean, he played dinged up in that Alfred State game, just making play after play after play. He was just lights out good. And so we're excited what next year's going to bring because it will be technically year 3 for him on the field. I think he's going to have a big year this fall.
Tracy, you get an extra year with Josh, correct?
Yeah, we do.
Oh,
Everybody that
man.
was here for the COVID year gets that year back. So for our guys, it's going to be pretty fun because he's going to be pretty good.
Another Westerly name, Anthony Durante. I know the beginning of the season, I think he had some injury problems, but I believe he worked through them.
Yeah, he had an injury before camp actually, and then he missed a big chunk of camp. He tried to come back from it and kind of re-injured it inadvertently, kind of. So he had to sit out for a while. But once he was back, he started on specials and he started to get some playing time in personnel groupings and defense a little bit. So our linebacker slash coach, Coach Gendron, calls him the Honey Badger. And the reason he does, he says, like the Honey Badger player that played in major college football in the NFL, they can move him to linebacker, they can move him to safety. He's really malleable where you can move him, which allows him to be on multiple personnel groupings. So we really think Durante is going to be really good next year. And that's the thing that's crazy is that we're returning so much of the core of our defense, but the mid-level guys that are close to being starters could push to be stars. That means we could really rotate and go fast. And so that's the exciting piece of the returners is that there's so much development happening right now. They're like, well, where's this train of success going to go? I think it's going to go pretty far because they're all really locked in. So, you might see Durante as big as like 210, 215 this fall. like jacked, running around just making plays. So
I'm not surprised. He comes from big stock, so I'm sure the kid will be huge if he puts the work in. And I watched him play, run around here for a couple years. You know, great guy. Another someone else that's a great kid, Nick Richard. I can't hear enough about him from his cohorts over at Central High
he
School.
was starting in the beginning of the year, and then he had a severe shoulder injury. He had to have labrum surgery. So he was out the rest of the year, but he was always at practice, very positive, helping out, trying to keep everybody else that was rotating in his position to be locked in and stay positive. So he's a good player. Nick's a great kid, you know, and it's crazy because like we have no kids that we don't like on our roster. We love all our kids, so which is rare to have that type of. Everybody says they love their kids, but like if you truly ask them behind closed doors, it's always not the case with other schools. Here, like literally every kid in this roster, we love and think they have so much potential, and that's the exciting thing is that we've picked the right kids.
We have a Burrowville kid, Stockwell. You know, very tough kid, number 62.
Yeah, he started as a true freshman 3/4 of the year and made all conference. He's just a really physical, strong kid. He's a silent assassin. Meet him off the field, he's real quiet. Tell you what, on the field, man, he's a tough dude. He's physical. He's got heavy hands. He's powerful. He hits you,
That
man. It's like getting hit by a heavyweight boxer. So
that Burrowville team is well coached.
they are. All those Burrville kids, man, are physical. They live in the weight room. They're very technically sound. They're tough as nails. Yes, sir. No, sir. They just want to grind. So, I mean, before, Deshario got injured in that game against WestCon, him and Deshario were just physical on the left side of the line. There's a clip from the Dean game where Deshario literally catches a kid trying to jump up and bat a ball, and he power slams him into the turf.
I
And that
love
kid
that clip. Love
didn't
it.
get back up. That kid was out for the rest of the game.
I was
So,
trying to find that clip earlier. I just all my pitches. Sometimes I don't put them in the right categories, and I
I
lose them.
mean,
But
we started the year, we had Deshario was right around 300 pounds at 6'4" at left tackle. You have Colby, who's right around 285, 290, 6'2" as a freshman. Our center's like 280, 6'1". Our right guard is 6'2", 360, and then our right tackle 6'5", 325. So, we're pretty big on the line. We're healthy. So,
number 70, Pat Matarisi, another big kid, 6'4", 270 pounds. He was a freshman coming out of Bishop Hendricken.
yeah, nice kid, nice family. He just needs a lot more development.
And then we just talked about Brandon DeCharo. Go back and look at UMass Dartmouth's film. You could probably find one of the clips online about what Coach McCormack's talking about. Yeah, that was incredible. And Tyler, what Tyler did, Tyler must have been very excited making making ESPN top 10. I mean, just in the right play at the right time. I think ESPN, here's the play right here.
Looking to throw. Avila Santos catches, caught. They flip it to a lineman who's in. Touchdown, UMass Dartmouth. What a
thinking on his feet. I think they call that the under the radar play. The guy from Noontime Sports. Shout out to him. But right place, right time. What about the wide receiver that had enough thinking to flip it to him?
So that was a play we designed. We always try to have a couple trick plays designed for each week, and even if we don't run them, we rep them to have that as a repertoire. And that was a play we designed that week, and we were on the fence if we were ever going to even run it. And it's funny. So our OC always talks about this with recruits, and they laugh and they visit, and he explains what happened in the game. So at the time, we just needed to get the first down, and they were trying to protect the end zone kind of. And so the play was called ladder, which is laughable, hook and ladder. It's like, come on, it's so obvious. But no one covered the linemen. Everybody covered the skill guys. So we knew they would go right at all the wideouts. So, Michael Vince is a big kid, the kid that caught the ball, and he caught the ball and has back to the defender so that as he's hitting him, he could flip it to him. And no one was covering, Tyler, and Tyler's a big dude, man. He's says 6'5", 300. That's a little off. He's about 3.25, but he's really athletic. He's a strong kid. He's very put together. He can move. He runs like a 540. 5'5".
Money in the bank. He had the money in the bank case after that play. That was pretty awesome. What a great clip. One of your highlights of the season, I'm sure. And Tyler's coming. Where's he coming from? New London, right? Trinity.
So Tyler played at Waterford High School, then reclassified for prep school at Trinity Pauling in New York. But his family lives in New London, like right in the New London Waterford line area. But we have a lot of kids from the ECC. If you look at our roster, the number of kids from that conference, ECC, we have kids from New London, Waterford, Montville. We've had kids over the years from Stonington, East Lyme. So that whole ECC conference, which we love that conference, we've had a lot of great players over the years from that conference. Just lights up good players. So Vincent's from Waterford, big athletic receiver. Antonio Brown, number 18 on a roster. He's from Montville.
That's where Antonio Brown went. We all wondered. He went back to UMass Dartmouth.
No relation, same name, but no relation. Antonio Brown is a much better kid, I think.
There you go. Yeah, definitely. And then another Rhode Island kid. You just got so many great Rhode Island kids. This one is very fast, coming out of EWG, Malachi Samos. Is he really weighing 175? Pretty skinny kid, but he was fast.
He's got a lot bigger since high school. So yeah, he's 175 now. He's worked really hard in the weight room. He got a lot better in the last year. He played a lot at the end of the year at wideout. He saw a lot of time, made some nice plays. Definitely a good player.
This next kid I'm going to mention, I seen him make a nice one-hand play 2 years ago. I think it was state championship game. Thomas Zednick, wide receiver, tall kid, 6'5", 210 pounds.
He's bigger than 6'5". He's almost 6'6". He's about 215 now. He's a big dude for a wideout. We designed a bunch of 2-point conversion plays with him because he's so long and athletic, and he caught a bunch in the bowl game against Alfred State, and he had a nice touchdown catch early in the year. He's going to be really good.
Nice. Isaiah Cole, another Cumberland kid, 3 kids from Cumberland High School on your roster.
Yeah, Zay's a great player. He's a great kid. He's working really hard to get bigger. He got a lot more playing time as the year went on. He was another guy like Upchurch, who had an injury in camp. It took him about 6 weeks in the season to get healthy. And we were worried they were going to basically take him offline, be medicaled for the whole year. And he wasn't, thank God. And he had some nice plays, both on kick return as well as at slot. So we expect some big things from him next year. And he did some nice stuff for us late in the year. He had some nice plays in the bowl game. So I think the future is very bright with a lot of young, good players.
And number 88 coming out of Coventry Oak is Jayden Pierson, 5'11", 170 pounds.
Yeah, Jayden's good wide out. He's going to be really good. He had a good camp, and we are looking for big things from Jayden. He came from a good program, hard worker, great kid. The kids on the roster love him. We love him. I mean, he's got a lot of potential. That kid is pretty fast, actually, and he runs good routes, and he's smart. So his ceiling is high, too. I mean, I think he can get to 190, 200 pounds and be faster. So, we're excited about what he can bring to the table.
Now, Sean Rio, he played his 5th year of eligibility last year, right? He came out of Classical High School.
Yeah, so he's done. He had some injuries at the end of the year, which stinks because there's some professional teams looking at him. He's bigger than 6'4", 225. He was 6'4", 225 as a junior before the COVID year. He's fluctuates between 245 and 260. He's about 6'5". He's a big dude. One of our graduating captains. Great player. Physical. I mean, he's built like an Adonis. So, Sean, I love Sean. He was obviously one of my recruits from Rhode Island and had a great career here and did some nice things.
Then you get out of Tiverton, Nick Estrom, number 95, linebacker.
Yeah, Nick's like a linebacker / edge. He's a good player.
So many great kids. That was basically all all the Rhode Island kids. There was one or two that was still on the roster, but I don't think they are on the the team this season. But coach, what's like if you had to name three things that recruits should not do in high school before getting recruited, what would they be?
Number one, have great grades. I always say to recruits, listen, C's and D's don't get degrees, and F's forget about it. So, on your transcripts, you can't have C's and D's and F's. It kills you in your core GPA and your recalc, and the admissions department recalculates them when they apply. So, wherever you are in your high school career, those have to not be on your transcripts going forward from this point forward. That's number one. Number two, with social media, be smart. Use it as a positive digital billboard. Tell a lot of kids on your Twitter or on your Facebook, have your real name so that we know who you are. Have a lot of positive information. And use it as a digital marketing. Don't put negative things on there. Don't put any derogatory things on there. Don't put anything that's going to get you in trouble for social reasons or otherwise. That's never good. There's over 60,000 high school varsity recruitable players. There's only 600 college football teams. So, in all divisions combined. So there's not a lot of opportunity to to get on a roster. You know, um, so it's really hard per class. So I tell kids all the time. The other thing I tell kids: go to camps, go to one-day prospect camps at universities. Um, Even if you don't like the school the camp is at, there's going to be other college coaches. Like summer 2019 before COVID, I did 61 D1 camps in that summer alone in like 90 days.
I
So
remember that. Yeah, I remember.
last summer there was less camp opportunities. I think I went to like 38 of them last summer. There wasn't as many opportunities, but this upcoming summer we'll be getting back to some normalcy. So I'll be back on track with my high numbers. But one thing I can say is that the kids that did more one-day camps, their production got better and better and better, and then their offers came, and then it was a positive domino effect. So so that's a big thing you must do. You can't just go to like one or two camps and shut it down. You definitely should be at least at anywhere from 8 to a dozen camps in the summer, at least at 4 or 5 different universities. um, and the other thing I tell people, you never know where a coach is going to end up. So, I mean, Bill Belichick played at a D3 school. Josh McDaniels played at a D3 school. You never know where guys are going to come from in this industry, and guys move around. So if a coach shows you love and respect and they want you, show the love and respect back. I'm not saying you have to go to said school, but entertain all offers and then make your informed decision at the end. I tell people, look at the school's academics, look at the school's track record with producing like jobs for kids, and look at the school's football program. From a like not just wins and losses, that's part of it, but like are guys staying? Or are they all transferring out? Like a revolving door, or are kids happy there, or is it a good experience? Or is the coaches lying to you? There's coaches I've seen out there been at like 8 or 10 or 12 different schools in like 12 years. Well, obviously, it's a commitment to a university to go there for 4 years, right? Also, that coach should be committed to you. So if that coach recruiting has been at like 8, 10, or 12 schools in a 12-year span, he is not committed to you. It's like a girl you date and she's with 12 different guys in 12 different weeks. Well, is she committed to you? No. So same type of thing. Like you got to look at it in like real life analogies. So I tell people all the time, listen, I've been here. I'm going on year 9 out of 23 years of coaching. This is year 9 here. So for me, I'm pretty committed to being here. I mean, I built a $30,000 office in my basement just for football. So I'm pretty locked in.
Guys doing all right.
My commitment. So, and I tell kids, like, I'm never going to tell a kid, don't go look at that school and don't look at other schools. I'm not going to do that. Go look at the schools. Go do your research. Because at the end of the day, I'll be the first one to congratulate you if you get an FBS full scholarship or an FCS full scholarship because you deserved it. And I have no problem losing a kid to an Ivy League like Brown or Yale because it's an Ivy League. That's part of the deal. Like when you're recruiting high academic athletic kids, you're going to lose some kids to those high-end schools. And I'm good with that. It's when a kid takes a school that's really expensive and it's an okay school, and they're a PWO and they're getting almost no money of any kind, not even football money, and they're going to go loan out 40 grand a year. That I don't really totally agree with. Now, it's their decision and their ideology, and that's fine. I respect that. But it's like, look at the school's value, the return on investment. I think we're a really good school. Obviously, I'm biased because I work here. But, at the end of the day, go where you wanted, go where you're going to get a great education at a very reasonable price, and go where you're going to have an opportunity to play early. That's just my philosophy.
Well, yeah, and there's situations where kids go to college, they take something that they really a major that's not going to pay the bills, and they realize in a year or two that this is just not for me, and they end up dropping out, and they still have the year or two of college to pay for.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say to people all the time, you know, do a major that's going to have like it's like you own a business. You got to look at like what's needed in the marketplace. One, like what jobs have high demand, what jobs have high pay scale based on the demand. One job, for example, is physical therapy. That is a high demand in occupational therapy. That's a high demand job, and you gotta get your doctorate to practice it. But it's worth the schooling because why? You're gonna make a lot of money. So a high return on investment. You go into finance, high return on investment. You go into engineering, high return on investment. Certain niches in criminal justice, high return on investment. You go to law school or go work for the federal government. There's a high return on investment there. It depends. You got to look at majors that have a high return on investment. The medical field right now is huge. Any biomedical sciences is huge. High return on investment, and that's why I tell people like if you just do a psychology undergrad major, you have to have a game plan. For example, post undergrad for graduate school that leads to a high end career in that major. So it is a lot of school, but it's worth the investment in time and money to get the reward on the back end in a high paying career and a very successful, safe career, from a financial standpoint.
Okay, I told some students that you were coming on. Any questions that I should ask? And one is, what is the practice compared to high school practice?
Well, you got to remember most high schools, they're doing what I call two platoon, or Iron Man, they're playing both ways. So one day they might practice defense, they might practice offense. We have a lot more time with our kids. We have a lot more individualized focus because we have more coaches than most schools. So we can really break it down at a very high level. We also spend a lot more time in film, I think, with what we do with the film. Um, but some things are similar, some things are different. So it's more demanding, mental and physical. I would say more mental than physical, honestly, but not that physical. It's not physically demanding. It's just the mental piece is what wears people down. You know.
Like that first day of camp that you guys have, a lot of kids were dreading that. I forgot what exactly you call it, but what's that, like an all day affair? That first
Yeah,
week.
yeah. That the first day of camp is just long. I mean, a lot of paperwork, a lot of meetings, a lot of administrative stuff, and then we have the run test, which is pretty tough. A lot of kids bomb that because they didn't realize the level of cardiovascular you need to have. Um, but yeah, it's just a grind. I mean, college is not high school, and high school is not college. It's just how it is. So, and as you go up the levels of football into the pros and stuff, it becomes really a business. So, we film practice every day. So there's practice film every day that's tagged and uploaded, and we can evaluate off of it every day. I mean, how many high schools do you see have multiple cameras filming a practice and then tagging it and uploading it and making comments to the kids every day? Not many places do that. It's hard to do that. So I think the attention to detail is just higher because of how we do it. So, and I did high school for 8 years, so I'm not knocking high school. I started out my career at college. I went to high school after that for 8 years and came back to college 9 years ago. So I have a kind of different lens than a lot of coaches have done both sides of the coin at multiple schools. And it's the resources, it's the time, it's the attention to detail, it's the number of coaches. That's the difference. Like, go to a high school, they might have 5, 6 coaches there. We have 10 coaches plus trainers plus filmers plus support staff. So it's the bigger thing.
And how about off-season conditioning? That was the second question. When do you guys start off-season conditioning, and what is it? What does it entail?
So during the in season, we lift 2 to 3 days a week in season for maintenance. And during Christmas break, they go home. They have a program through what's called Team Builder. It's an online app. They have to add stuff to, and there's workouts in there they have to do, and it's all tracked. When they get back to campus for spring semester, they have max outs, and then they go right into winter lifting, off-season lifting, and that's at least 3 to 4 days a week with trainers, and then they can do additive stuff as well, and that's tracked as well. And then we hit spring ball. Spring ball starts in literally like about a month for us. It starts in March, and that's 16 practices. And the NCAA just changed the rule for the 16 practices can be full. The other can be helmet. So we can actually, play real football in the spring now. So it's like very similar to D1. And at the end of the 16 practices, we'll have our team banquet, which that's when the kids are going to get their bowl rings. And then they go home with their summer workouts. Now, a good chunk of the team will stay on campus because they choose to. They'll take some classes and they'll work out with the trainers one-on-one here. And a bunch of them will go home and remotely work out with the trainers where they're getting workouts in through Team Builder, but they're in constant contact with our strength and conditioning staff. And they report back in August for preseason. Preseason, once they're here, is every day. There's no days off. Preseason is literally you start camp in August, right around the 10th, 11th August. And it runs right till the first game. And it's a grind. It's like Groundhog Day, but it's fun. It's football, and we love it. And so I mean, to me, it's like vacation because I can just do football 24/7. So it's good.
Nothing like football constantly, man. The Bengals in the Super Bowl for the first time since '89. Bengals and the Rams. Who do you have? Last time the Rams were in there, your good friend Liam was
Liam.
coaching on the team. Now he got a nice job up at Kentucky. Coach Nod was there a couple of weeks ago. He brought the kids up there to see him. What do you think? Is the Rams going to be able to pull it out, or is the Bengals going to win a Super Bowl?
If Joe Burrow plays as well as he's played yet so far, the Bengals win. I think if Burrows can rise above and put the team on his back and get the ball to chase and do some unique things and beat the rush. If the rush can't stop Burrows, Burrows wins. If the rush stops Burrows, then the Rams win. That's my analysis. But it's possible. I mean, that kid is pretty darn good. I mean, you look at his career, and it's similar to a Tom Brady career in the sense that, like, he was at Ohio State. Well, even before Ohio State, he was offered by almost no places. Ends up at Ohio State in this process. Urban Meyer said, "Oh, you're not good enough to start." Eventually, he leaves, ends up at LSU, and lit it up at LSU. Put up ungodly numbers. Had one of the most epic seasons an FBS team has ever had, undefeated. Rolled everybody, no one even touched them. And he was just lights out good then. When the Heisman goes to the league, was having a great year, his rookie year, then gets hurt, comes back 1 year later, and he's in the Super Bowl. And that's a pretty impressive guy.
Incredible.
Their team's not bad, but they're not. If you look at their roster, is it a top 4 roster in the league? No. Is it top 10? Probably. So he's doing more with less. And if they can ever get some more pieces of the puzzle around that guy, whoa. I mean, he's a really talented player.
Now, you mentioned Tom Brady. He retires. Look at this picture of Tom Brady. A little gray around the chin. You mentioned Tom Brady. He retires. Definitely the greatest player to ever touch a football. What do you think about the career that he has had? And the second part of this question, do you think he played better his first half of his career or the second part of his career?
I think the second part, in the sense they had so much experience. So the biggest thing in football that I found is game experience. So the more game experience you have, the better you become because you have more knowledge, and you can process things mentally on your feet quicker. I think in the beginning, he's always been a confident guy and a very mentally strong guy where he can overcome stress and overcome situational football. You look at that first drive where he won the game in the Super Bowl against the Rams the first time. That drive was pretty epic. and very, I remember the voiceover from John Madden saying, "Oh, I think they should, play for overtime," and that's not what he was playing. He was playing to win. So, that was probably the start of the mystique, so to speak. And then he went on this. He won 3 Super Bowls in 4 years, which is pretty, astronomical. And then you saw them kind of sputter for a while. I think that sputtering was what led him to bring in that guy Guerrero to like redevelop him as a player over time with his pliability stuff and his diet and further his focus. And I think that process made him better on the back end. Because yes, they lost a couple Super Bowls against the Giants. But I think the process was such a good thing to have. I think the cool thing about him is that when he went to the Bucks, he could legitimately walk into that room as a player and say, "I played all these years and I've both won and lost Super Bowls," and that's valuable. The losses in the sense that he could sell the argument that I've been on the loss side and this is why we lost. Here's the variables that we didn't do right, and I've been on the winning side. And I think for him to have that like knowledge and experience to basically quote unquote sell to the roster, that was a good, valuable thing to have as leverage to get that team in Tampa Bay to lock in that first year and block everything out and just do football. It's tough to sustain that anywhere, that type of focus. And they brought back essentially 90% of the same roster. So the pro is that they've been there before and they know what it takes to get there. The con is some people get comfortable and hard to keep winning. So I think he saw that. And I think he wants to spend more time with his kids and his wife. And he was in the league for 22 years. That's a long time.
And he has other careers he's about to jump
course.
into. Brady Brand, his TV12. I mean, I just showed a clip on the screen, and I was unaware that Big Ben was a TV12 client for a long time, and it shows because Big Ben had a long career. And Brady says right here in the post that he defined the TB12 method in favor to throw some ice on it method his whole career and ended up an all-time great. There's more than one way to bake a cake, basically. And congratulations to Big Ben.
Yeah, Roethlisberger was a big dude, man. He was a tough player. And again, you're going to see a lot of guys. I think eventually Rodgers will retire. You're going to start seeing a bunch of older cats kind of get out because it seems to me what I've noticed, if you do the right things while you're in the league and you make the right decisions financially and career-wise, you look at people like Michael Strahan, his post NFL career is amazing. I mean, he's doing, TV shows and
making a ton of money.
Has a clothing line. I mean, and I think Brady's become pretty friendly with a lot of ex-opponents that have retired. Strahan's one of them. I think he was probably talking to people like that, and they're probably like, "Listen, like, what more do you have to prove?" So, he's kind of defied every variable there is. So at this point, for him, it's like, well, I think it's time to do something else.
And he made 450 in his career. Like, that's pretty good. He's like the number one football player as far as money made, and everybody kind of gave him a lot of crap for him giving money back. Do you think the Patriots, last question, then I'll let you go. I know it's been a long day. Do you think the Patriots relationship and Tom Brady will eventually be fixed?
I think, the Pats were in a tough spot with the cap. And at the time, and I think it wasn't so much how much money he wanted. I mean, I don't know. I haven't talked to him in the Pats organization to know the inner workings of how that went down. But I think you just want, sometimes you just want to change. And I don't think it was as much the relationship with the Pats as more like, you know what? I want to prove the world wrong that I am this good. I'm not just a system quarterback. And because that was the media knock on him for years. And I think he was the relationship a little bit strained with Belichick? Well, they were together 20 years. And at that point, I think he wanted more control of like play design. And I don't know if they were giving him that control to an extent. I think they were taking his ideas, but I don't think they were. I think Tampa gave him a lot more control than people realize. And again, when you're there 20 years, it's a long time. So, That's a long time in any job. So I've never been at the same job for 20 years in my life, so I don't know what that's like. So, so again, I think he just said, well, I did my time. And he's very close to Kraft. And I think he basically, said, well, I want a different scenery. He looked around the league, both location, organization, rosters, and said, well, he saw that the Bucks before he got there was turning the ball over a lot with their quarterback. He said, well, if I minus these turnovers, they'll win way more games. And he was right. And he's a great leader. But Mikey?
Sorry about that. I hit the wrong button. I hope they eventually straighten their relationship out. Mr. Kraft and Tom, and because how can you not be upset being a Patriot fan, not even being mentioned by Tom Brady during his retirement? But we'll see what happens. And I know people getting their feelings. I don't think Brady wanted to leave. I think they could have very much fixed that situation. I don't think he wanted to leave, and I think he was forced to leave at the end.
I don't know. It's hard to tell. I mean,
yes, definitely.
Maybe he'll write a book about it, down the road. You never know. It'd be intriguing to find out what really happened, and who knows? Maybe none of the three key pieces, Belichick, Kraft, or Brady, will even talk about it.
Yeah, true.
I mean, on one hand, you gotta think Brady's got to be appreciative of the organization and Belichick because they had essentially kind of initially created his opportunity and created him. Because I remember there was a point where Belichick could have gone back to Bledsoe and put Brady back on the bench, and he picked Brady to be the starter. At that point, Bledsoe was healthy, so he obviously had confidence and trusted him to be the quarterback. But that was a long time ago. That was almost 20 years ago. So, or it is over 20 years ago now. So, relationships can strain, and who knows? I mean,
Well, look, he was falling off a cliff 12 years ago. 12 years ago, the cliff was coming. And I just guessed 12 years. It might have been even longer. Rob Parker, Max Kellerman.
They were selling that cliff stuff in 2014. That was a long time ago now.
And he's still good. He went out on top. Like, he definitely can still compete. I don't think he wants to be like Peyton Manning, go out, even though he got a Super Bowl leaving. I think he wants to go out playing great football. But he was the best to ever play the game. The NFL should waive his 5 years in the Hall of Fame, and he should get inducted right in. Definitely first ballot.
The NFL should make a rule that if you play 20 years or more, which is like they're going to have so few guys do that. If you play 20 years or more and you've won, and if they have check the boxes, you were an all-pro, you won a Super Bowl, you started at least 8% of that time frame, and you were there 20 years or more, that you should be automatically put in after 1 year. You know what I'm saying? Like 1 year being out, they should make an exemption because the number of people that would fit those check the boxes would be so few. And so rare that it would be a valid exemption. Was I bumming that he left because I'm a New England fan? He left New England, yes. But that's part of professional sports. A lot of greats have left organizations, and Wayne Gretzky did it in hockey. People like
Shannon Sharp did it.
Yeah, I mean, people do. It's just unfortunately professional sports with caps and free agency now. It's people jump rosters. It's just how it is.
I don't think Peyton Manning ever got over in Indianapolis. You never see him picking up Indy. He's always picking up Denver Broncos. So I think he's still in his feelings over them.
Yeah, I mean, you want your career to go a long time with the same place, obviously, but that's rare now. I mean, not many people are there in one place for that long.
Well, Ryan, I really appreciate it, man. Coach Nod behind the pads down there right now in Las Vegas, and they're actually getting ready to play the NFL Flag Championship game this weekend. So congratulations to them. Ryan, thank you. Good luck. Maybe you can get your back-to-back championships so you can get 3 since 2003. But you have a lot of good guys coming back. We didn't even get a chance to get into the transfer portal. We'll have to do that another time. But, Ryan, I really appreciate it. Good luck this season, and keep getting them Rhode Island boys, man. Put Rhode Island on the map.
We'll keep trying, that's for sure.
But to you and the family, thank you. I appreciate everything, and we'll talk soon.
All right, good talking to you, Mikey.
All right, that's Coach McCormack, UMass Dartmouth, Corsairs Football 2021 New England Bowl champions, man. So we went over all the Rhode Island kids, man. Great show. Thank you, Ryan. It's been a while trying to get him in the building, man. But everybody knows Ryan works very, very hard. It's not easy getting kids to play for these teams. Shout out what Coach Edwards does, what Coach McCormack does, all his staff up there, all the great Rhode Island football coaches trying to put the kids on the next level. But thank you, everybody. I really appreciate it, man. Good luck to UMass Dartmouth this season. Hey, check it out. If you want to be an official, get at me. I got an email that you can send out. You could probably find work right away this season. They definitely need some new officials. What's going on? Thank you to Mock Wright, man. Awesome sponsor all season long. If you're looking to buy a home, give Mock a call, 401-787-5203, a Presidential Award winner. Definitely, Mock be supporting youth football. And I think that ends it, man. We're going to be back this week with Behind the Pads, probably coming in from Vegas. So definitely stay tuned. Check that out. A lot of good shows coming up this season. A lot of coaches returning.
Looking to throw. Avila Santos catches. Caught. They flip it to a lineman who's in. Touchdown. UMass Dartmouth. What a creative play.
What a nice play. And good luck to Ball Game Behind the Pads.
I two-step and do my own dance. I ain't rocking shit else. I wear my own brand. Ball game everything. Ball game snapback. Ball game V-neck. Ball game back. Ball game sticks to the seats of the Cadillac. Disrespect my movement. I